Hi, this is John in Los Angeles. It's April 15th, 2019. Still in Long Beach here, and I met someone else who's awake to the spraying operations. His name is Jacob, and we're going to talk to him right now. When did you find out about this stuff, what they were doing?
You know what? The first time that me and my brother actually noticed what was going on was probably back in 2000, maybe 98, earliest, and we were like, what are these weird trails going on in the sky? And at that time there wasn't a big, internet access like there is today, and basically, as time went on, we were able to start to research things on the internet, and you see that even, I watched interviews on Prince, how that he was assassinated, or so they say that he died, from a drug overdose or something, but he spoke out about this outrage. He spoke out about the fact that that he would notice in his neighborhood after these trails had been sprayed, within hours, that people were in the neighborhood were fighting, they were having problems. People were driving around the road. It created a level of anxiety that was apparent, that was evident in the people. And I started to pay attention to things like that before I ever watched an interview about Prince. But when I attempted to mention it to people, they know what, the biggest thing is everyone said that, oh, well, that's the government, what are you going to do? And I think that until that the people stand up, and until the people completely let go of any fear of death, just like in any other one of our wars, that we will continue to be treated like slaves. And if they are, in fact, I've experienced at levels of anxiety that were unmanageable, to where I ended up going to a psychiatrist and had to be on Xanax for a while, and then I felt like that made me worse, and so I found some natural ways to deal with this. But the bottom line is I shouldn't, no American or anyone in the world should have to be taking supplements in order to feel normal.
I agree.
And the thing is it's just like, when is enough? And there's plenty of evidence in the sky. I mean, those obviously aren't clouds right there. I mean, those are lines, and a contrail only lasts for the length of a football field or something. I mean, anyone that I've spoken to that was aware of what the skies look like when these jets originally started producing contrails in the sky, knew that these trails only would evaporate after maybe 1,000 feet or something like that.
Right.
And these are going across the whole sky. And,
absolutely, they are.
And I had another friend that actually was taking pictures, and he had a high definition camera, and he would zoom in on the planes, and there were actually spraying units in these double propped airplanes that are at extremely high altitudes that are spraying something out of the tips of the wings, and it was not coming out of the propeller. Obviously, it wasn't a jet propelled engine, and so there should be nothing coming out of that airplane. And there were trails that were being strung across the whole sky by these planes, and these are World War II planes that look like they're retired, and that the government is using them to dumb down the masses, or whatever their plan is. But I know that it isn't good. I know that for sure, that there's a heinous whether they think that a certain level of people should only be able to live, if you're poor, then you should only be able to live 30 years if you can't afford the supplements and stuff needed, and the good food and nutrition needed to live through this. And I don't think anyone should have a right to put a number on someone's life.
No way.
And or force us to breathe things. I mean, I work outside. This was really traumatic when I really started to pay attention to this and realized that there's no way to get around this. I wore dust masks. I wore a full-on respirator while I was working during the day, and 90% of the people or even more, are more terrified of what someone will think of them because of social media, which is a propaganda machine.
Sure.
To begin with, that suggests ideas for you, what you should believe or what's right or what's wrong, and the fact of the matter is, our food sources have been polluted by people that that don't really care about us. Their interest is making money. Their interest is making their wealth expand higher and higher and higher until they become untouchable. And I don't believe that's real. Like the reality is that the people of the United States of America are the government. And if you read the Constitution, it says we the people. It doesn't say we the government. And so it's time for us to stand together and stop allowing them to divide us by race, by religion, by sexual orientation.
Yeah, mainstream news is good at that.
It's all irrelevant.
Right.
And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does anybody else in your family know this is going on?
Yeah. My dad, he's upset about it. My older brother is upset about it. Like I said, everyone's trying to live their lives, and nobody really wants to look at that.
I don't want to look at it.
Whether nobody wants to look at it, but the thing is like a lot of people, like I said, they're in fear of the government, but all that fear was created by these religious institutions that want to make people think that they're going to go to hell or something. But this is coming from people who have turned the Word of God into they've accepted a interpretation for the Word of God that has been adulterated by people who profit from people thinking that they're going to go to hell. And the reality is this is hell. And the only way that we're going to stop this is if we come together and we decide, look, I told my dad, I said, why the hell would anyone pay taxes to people who are spraying shit on us? Why the hell would anyone pay taxes? I lived in Bellflower, California, and my father got our tap water tested, and it was just after Bellflower had released the annual report about how good the water was. My dad went and had it tested and found arsenic, lead, and disturbing levels. There were levels that were beyond what is acceptable for a human to consume without being poisoned, and not to mention fluoride. And there's lots of videos out on YouTube and the internet describing the toxicity of fluoride, that when it enters your body it becomes a magnet for your pineal gland, which is a lot of people call it a spiritual antenna, but the reality is this the picture forming entity in your mind. And the picture-forming entity in your mind gives you the ability to manifest things. And even Jesus Christ, if you read the Bible and stop letting a pastor tell you what it really says, and you read it, he says, I say you are gods. And then he said, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. That means that everyone you see is your brother and your sister. And it's way past time for us to stand up for each other and for us to find a resolution for this. And if it comes down to it, to stop paying corrupt people so that they don't have any more funds to go and decide to litter our skies or our breathing supply or anything else, or our water supply. That's about all I think of right now.
Well, thank you, Jacob, for pointing out the obvious here. We do see it. You can't hide this stuff anymore, you criminal freaks. It's obviously not contrails. Your plan didn't work. Not on me, it didn't, or Jacob here either. Butt nuggets.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much, man, for doing this.
You're welcome.
All right, you're awesome. Thank you.
All right.